Donald Trump, honest to God, has got to be one of the most disrespectful presidents I've ever seen. So as you guys know, today is Memorial Day, and Donald Trump honors and graces this day with a rant on Truth Social about his political rivals and enemies. It's true. Now, I don't have a problem with Donald Trump calling out his political enemies, his political rivals, so be it. I don't care. But Donald Trump has this repeated history of disrespecting the military and veterans and just having very little respect or reverence for anything involving our servicemen. This man chooses Memorial Day to start, taking digital swings at his political enemies. I don't know what's going on over there with the MAGA people, but MAGA, y'all gotta check Trump, bro. This is too much.
Memorial Day is meant to honor the fallen soldiers of the U.S. military. For Donald Trump this morning, it was an excuse to go after his self-proclaimed enemies. He says, quote, "Happy Memorial Day to all, including the human scum that is working so hard to destroy our once great country." He goes on to attack two judges overseeing his trials and the woman who says he sexually assaulted her. My panel is back with me now.
Hold on. So let's look at this. We have here a paragraph of Donald J. Trump calling out the people who he believes are his political enemies. He says, "Happy Memorial Day to all, including the human scum that is working so hard to destroy our once great country." He insinuates here that apparently the nation is no longer great because he's not the one in charge. Okay. This is my biggest issue with Donald Trump. Donald Trump seems to believe that everything is right with America as long as he rests at the helm. As long as he's in charge, everything is A-okay. In the absence of his rulership, let's call it what it is. This man does not want to just be the executive. He doesn't just want to be the president. He doesn't just want to be the head of the executive branch of our government. This man wants to be a dictator. This man wants dominion over this country. This man says the human scum working so hard to destroy our once great country. Ridiculous. Like, I don't have I try to be soft with Trump because I really hate dogpiling. I hate the dogpiling. I hate when everybody's like, Trump this, Trump that, Trump. I hate the ganging up and the dogpiling, but this is just ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, this is where I have to say something. This is where I genuinely, I gotta say something. I usually don't like to because I really hate joining in on the TDS, but Trump just continuously does shit that just pisses me off. Like, Trump, if you tweeted this on any other day, cool. But using Memorial Day to fuel this tweet or this truth, because it's on Truth Social, ironically, it's called Truth. Using Memorial Day to fuel this tweet, let's call it whatever, to fuel this tweet with the momentum it needs to reach the American people is crazy. Using Memorial Day for your own personal purposes is insane. Absolutely insane. But this isn't unlike Trump. Trump has been unbelievably disrespectful to veterans, to the military, to veterans who have passed, been killed in service of our nation. Donald Trump has done this extensively. So this really isn't all that surprising. It's just frustrating. It's unbelievably frustrating. And this is a man who sat there and said he prefers troops who weren't captured in response to John McCain, because he and McCain didn't really get along before Trump became president. Trump says, I prefer people who weren't captured. The fact that a man who said, I prefer people who weren't captured, served as our commander-in-chief is crazy. Like, I really hate to be a part of the Trump hate train. I do. I hate being, but the fact that this man served as the commander-in-chief after everything he said about our military is absolutely insane to me.
Look, I get it. The happy whatever to haters and losers is kind of his shtick, but come on, man. Should people care? That sucks.
I mean,
to be candid.
I think it follows
Trump is a terrorist.
And he hasn't really received a lot of consequences for this kind of talk in the past, and that is something that's targeted just at those who like Donald Trump. We're not trying to win any hearts and minds with that particular, what do they call them, truth?
But what we were just talking about, which was whether or not he's going to be able to win over those independents, whether or not he's going to be able to win over some moderate Republicans that he lost in 2020 in states like Arizona that went to Biden, voters I spoke to there who had been lifelong Republicans. Is he going to be able to win them over if he's constantly, on a day that is supposed to remember veterans, attack other, law enforcement? And that's something that the Biden campaign is going to be using examples of. in the past when he's attacked veterans, in the past when he said that he only likes soldiers
Exactly,
that win,
his tracks.
and they're going to use that to appeal to those independent Nikki Haley type voters.
That might, okay, maybe the Nikki Haley types might see this and be like, man, we can't vote for Donald J. Trump after saying some shit like this. And to be honest, good. We need some grown folks to hold Trump accountable. Look, I'm not trying to be a part of the Trump hate train, but this is unacceptable for a fucking... You're running for president of the United States and you use Memorial Day for this? In conjunction with all of the other disrespectful statements you've made about soldiers, it's unbelievable that a man like this could possibly win the White House a second time and be the commander-in-chief. Absolutely insane. Ridiculous to me.
Wondered, and I don't know the answer to this, but if just being on Truth Social has actually somewhat helped Donald Trump, because not everyone is being exposed to this constant deluge of negativity. I mean, one of the things, I met someone in Iowa during the caucuses who told me that they believed the election was stolen, and I was like, hear me out. What if the election wasn't stolen, but that everybody, including you, who was a Trump supporter, were just really exhausted by the constant drinking from a fire hose that people felt, so people didn't actually show up to vote, including you, who told me that you didn't show up to vote. He was like, yeah, well, we were all really tired. And I wonder if being on Truth Social in this kind of silo where it's not public, where it's only public if someone else posts it, not having this constant inundation has actually somehow helped Donald Trump, because people don't feel so exhausted by seeing it all the time.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's helped Trump to an extent, but no, this stuff almost always hurts you in the end. See, Trump not being on Twitter has allowed him to kind of have his little fiefdom on Truth Social and scream at the spirits and the walls and the moon and the stars and whatever he's screaming at. However, because he's in this echo chamber in which he cannot be policed, he cannot be banned, he cannot be reprimanded, he cannot be held to account, because Donald Trump is in this weird little fiefdom, Donald Trump is more likely to speak how he really feels. Donald Trump is more likely to do stupid shit because he assumes we're not really watching. We are watching, Donald. Truth Social is on Google and we can click on it. We can see the shit that you say. You gotta chill. Like, we can see you. You know what I'm saying? Like, because Trump sees himself as someone who's not reachable at this stage of the game, Trump chose to not return to Twitter. I vividly remember the night he was readmitted to Twitter. He chose not to return. Stupid move on his part. Trump decides to remain on Truth Social. Problem is, when you get comfortable in these little echo chambers, you start saying stuff you really shouldn't say. And when you're as famous as Donald J. Trump, people start looking at what you say and taking little itty bitty bits and pieces and just like, all right, we'll take this. Yeah, keep tweeting. We'll take that too. Oh, you said that? Don't worry about it. We got that too. Before you know it, all of these crazy statements you probably wouldn't have made if you were on Twitter, but you have made because you're on Truth Social, have now all been lined up and used against you. So I don't know if this lady's necessarily correct. I don't know if Donald Trump not being on Twitter is necessarily helping him. I think it's hurting him in the long run. All of these, echo chambers, it destroys you in the end because you get comfortable with saying stuff you really shouldn't be saying. And the wider audience, the wider population eventually gets wind of it and says, not you. So Donald Trump, if Donald Trump was smart, he would not be using Memorial Day to advance his own ego. On Memorial Day, he should be trying to respect veterans who have lost their lives in service of this nation. Instead, what we're dealing with is a Donald Trump who has chosen to use Memorial Day for his own self-aggrandizement and for the destruction or attempted disrespect of his political enemies, people he perceives to be his political enemies. I mean, the stories get significantly worse the further back you go. The further back you go, it gets significantly worse. This man said he's a war hero. This man completely disrespected McCain and said, I like people who weren't captured.
It's a great applause line, and obviously they appreciate it. But referring to people as rapists, referring to John McCain, a war hero.
Trump is
Trump. Call him a dummy. Is that appropriate in running for president?
Okay, you got to let me speak though, Frank, because you interrupt all the time. Okay. So, no, I know him too well. That's the problem. let's take John McCain. I'm in Phoenix. We have a meeting that is going to have 500 people at the Biltmore Hotel. We get a call from the hotel. It's turmoil. Thousands and thousands of people are showing up. 3-4 days before, they're pitching tents on the hotel grass. The hotel says, we can't handle it. It's going to destroy the hotel. We move it to the convention center. We have 15,000 people. The biggest one ever, bigger than Bernie Sanders, bigger than 15,000 people showed up to hear me speak, bigger than anybody, and everybody knows it. A beautiful day with incredible people that were wonderful, great Americans, I will tell you. John McCain goes, oh boy, Trump makes my life difficult. He had 15,000 crazies show up, crazies. He called them all crazy. I said, they weren't crazy. They were great Americans. These people, if you would have seen these people, I know what a crazy is. I know all about crazies. These weren't crazy.
The way he talks is hilarious, bro. You can't take it away from him.
Somebody should run against John McCain, who has been, in my opinion, not so hot. And I supported him. I supported him for president. I raised $1 million for him. It's a lot of money. I supported him. He lost. He let us down. But, he lost. So I never liked him as much after that, because I don't like losers. Frank, let me get to it. He hit me. Hero. He's not a war hero.
He's a war hero.
He's a war hero.
5.5 years.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay? I hate to tell you.
Do you agree with that?
He's a war hero because he was captured, okay? You can have, and I believe perhaps he's a war hero, but right now he said some very bad things about a lot of people. So what I said...
Trump saying that he's a war hero because he was captured. Let me remind y'all. John McCain is not a war hero just because he was captured. John McCain is a war hero because he was captured, and while he was in captivity, because his father was a high-ranking admiral, John McCain had the opportunity to go home. John McCain refused to go home because he would not be able to go with his men. They would have to stay. He would be allowed to go. He chose to stay in captivity with his men for years because if he left, they would be left behind. That right there is honor and integrity and is worthy and deserving of the title hero. He deserves respect for that. This man didn't have to be over there getting tortured and all that time. He could have said, hey, look, see y'all later. We all signed up. We all knew what we signed up for. We all know we got drafted for. It is what it is. I'll bounce. I'll see y'all later. It is what it is. Y'all be safe. He could have done that. He could have done that, but he chose not to. Donald Trump's flippant disrespect of the military is absolutely crazy. Like, I understand that most of his supporters probably don't think much of this, but if you actually have a genuine love of politics, a genuine love of respect for our system, for our government, for our military, this kind of commentary from any president is absolutely unacceptable. Barack Obama couldn't do this. Bush couldn't do this. Biden couldn't do this. Romney could. No one could do this, G. Because it's unacceptable. It is in no way, shape, or form appropriate for a commander-in-chief to be, or an aspiring commander-in-chief to speak this way about a serviceman in any capacity at all. And if you didn't think it was possible for this to get any worse, it can. Trump, Americans who died in war are losers and suckers. The president has repeatedly disparaged the intelligence of service members and asked that wounded veterans be kept out of military parades, multiple sources tell The Atlantic. When President Donald Trump canceled a visit to the Ain Marne American Cemetery near Paris in 2018, he blamed rain for the last-minute decision, saying that the helicopter couldn't fly and that the Secret Service wouldn't drive him there. Neither claim was true. Trump rejected the idea of the visit because he feared his hair would become disheveled in the rain and because he did not believe it important to honor the American war dead, according to 4 people with first-hand knowledge of the discussion that day. In a conversation with senior staff members on the morning of the scheduled visit, Trump said, "Why should I go to that cemetery? It's filled with losers." Why should I go to that cemetery? It's filled with losers. Yo, the fact that a nigga like this was president is crazy. What the fuck? Yo, this is a crazy timeline. This is an insane... I can't imagine anyone else who's ever served as president saying some shit. I just can't even imagine it. In a separate conversation on the same trip, Trump referred to the more than 1,800 Marines who lost their lives at Belleau Wood as suckers for getting killed. Okay, I don't know if y'all know, but like the Marines at Belleau Wood, they're the ones who earned the nickname Devil Dogs. So you know the Marines are called Devil Dogs? Well, they earned that nickname at this battle. Now, the rumors are that the nickname wasn't actually given to them by the Germans, and that in reality it was made up by the Marine Corps. Regardless, this battle was the source of the nickname. Furthermore, I believe this specific Marine unit was gifted a certain part of their uniform that they get to wear by the French. So this is a special Marine unit. I don't know if it's 5th Battalion 6th Marines or 3rd Battalion 6th Marines or 3-5 or I don't remember which regiment and battalion it was who went to France and fought at this battle, but that regiment received decorations from the French. So for Trump to call them suckers is crazy. You know, ultimately, Donald Trump's history of absolutely disrespecting our military every chance he gets is crazy. Absolutely insane. The fact that Donald Trump would use Memorial Day for something like this blows my mind. It's so unnecessary. Absolutely unnecessary. And then himself and his supporters expect everybody to sit there and not believe when a million other people say, yeah, Trump said this, Trump said that about this veteran, and he said that about these veterans. It's like, you want us to not believe these accounts from people who have been close to you in the administration, but then you do stuff like this. You say that you like people who weren't captured. You then say, Happy Memorial Day to the human scum, as in the people who are judges and prosecutors on these cases that you've been involved in. You don't want us to believe that you've said further disrespectful things about veterans, but you use Memorial Day for your own purposes, not mentioning any wars or any individual servicemen or anything of the sort. You use Memorial Day for your own self-aggrandizement. You sit there and say that you like soldiers who weren't captured, and yet you somehow want us to believe you haven't gone further in your disrespect. Come on. Who actually, come on. Donald Trump needs to stop. Donald Trump needs to relax, because this is absolutely fucking ridiculous. I can't, this is unacceptable from a former commander-in-chief, a currently aspiring commander-in-chief who wants to be president again, and yet this kind of commentary coming from him is not becoming of a president. It's not, in any way, shape, or form. To use Memorial Day for your own purposes is absolutely insane. This is disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting, and this man should not be president again. Doing and acting this way. It's ridiculous. You know what I mean? I don't want people to misinterpret what I'm saying. I don't have a problem with Republicans. I don't have a problem with conservatives. I don't have a problem with, white people or whatever far left. I'm a liberal, but I'm not here to demonize Republicans. I'm not here to demonize conservatives. But what I ask and what I expect from commanders in chief is class and respect. That's all I expect from them, is class and respect. And Trump is incapable of showing either of these things. In spite of the immense amount of wealth he's lived in for all his life, he still somehow is not wealthy enough to afford class. I don't know what's going on with that. MAGA supporters, y'all need to call him and check in with him and see what's going on with that. But this is absolutely insane. I mean, it's absolutely insane. Trump supporters, I feel for y'all, because this is going to be a rough 2024. Y'all's boy is going to tweet or truth out a lot of crazy stuff, and it's not going to get better. So let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm out.